Seniors, I want you to stand up for just a moment. Go ahead, I'll wait. Now pay attention to what just happened in your legs. Did you feel that slight delay? That fraction of a second where your body had to think about it before your legs responded? If you're over 70, that pause isn't in your head. That's your circulation sending you a message. And frankly, it's a message most people ignore until it's too late. I'm Dr. Alan Mandell, and I've spent the last 30 years studying vascular health in aging populations. And what I'm about to share with you contradicts almost everything you've been told about why your legs feel the way they do. Most physicians will tell you it's just part of getting older. They're wrong. What's actually happening inside your legs right now is a specific nutritional deficiency that's choking off blood flow to your muscles. And the research proving this is so clear, so definitive, that I'm frankly shocked more doctors aren't talking about it. Think back to 5 years ago. Could you stand at the kitchen counter and cook a full meal without your legs aching? Could you walk through the grocery store without needing to sit down halfway through? I'm not talking about running marathons here. I'm talking about basic activities that shouldn't leave you exhausted. When did that change for you? And more importantly, what if I told you that change wasn't inevitable? Here's what actually happens in your legs as you age, and this is critical to understand. Your blood vessels, particularly the tiny ones deep in your calves and thighs, have an inner lining called the endothelium. Picture this lining like the non-stick coating on a frying pan. When it's healthy, blood slides through smoothly, effortlessly. But when this lining becomes damaged and inflamed, blood flow becomes sluggish, sticky, inefficient. Your muscles don't get the oxygen they need. That's when your legs start feeling heavy, cold, disconnected from the rest of your body. Now, researchers at Johns Hopkins tracked over 2,000 seniors for 8 years, and they discovered something remarkable. The ones who maintained strong leg circulation into their 80s, who kept walking confidently, who never developed that shuffling gait we associate with old age, all shared one measurable difference. It wasn't exercise levels, though that helped. It wasn't genetics, though that played a role. It was nutrient density, specifically 6 vitamins that work together to keep blood vessels flexible, responsive, and fully functional. I'm going to walk you through all 6 of these vitamins today, ranked from supporting player to absolute game changer. And I need you to stay with me, because the number 1 vitamin on this list, the one that demonstrated a 380% improvement in lower extremity blood flow in clinical trials, catches everyone by surprise. Even me when I first read the research. Before we dive in, do me a favor and drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from today. I read every single comment, and there's something powerful about knowing we're building a community of people who refuse to accept decline as inevitable. All right, let's get into vitamin number 6. And I'm starting here because this one works in a way that most people have completely backward. Vitamin K2. Now, you've probably heard about vitamin K in relation to blood clotting, and that's vitamin K1. We're talking about something entirely different here. Vitamin K2 is what prevents calcium from building up inside your artery walls, where it has absolutely no business being. When calcium deposits in your arteries, and this is happening right now if you're deficient in K2, those vessels become rigid, narrow, unable to expand and contract the way they need to in order to push blood up from your feet against gravity. The Rotterdam study followed 4,800 people for a decade, and what they found was frankly stunning. Participants with the highest K2 intake had 52% less arterial calcification in their leg vessels compared to those with the lowest intake. 52%. That's not a marginal difference. That's a difference between walking comfortably and struggling to make it up a flight of stairs. Here's what makes K2 so tricky. It's almost completely absent from the modern diet. Our grandparents got it from butter, eggs, and organ meats from grass-fed animals. Today, unless you're eating fermented foods like natto, which, let's be honest, tastes like something that's already been digested, you're probably not getting any meaningful amount of K2. And even if you are eating the right foods, after age 70, your gut bacteria, which help convert K1 to K2, start declining. You're fighting an uphill battle on multiple fronts. The form matters enormously here. You want NK7, not MK4. MK7 stays active in your bloodstream for 72 hours, giving you sustained protection, while MK4 is gone in 8 hours. The dose that showed reversal of arterial calcification in studies is 180 micrograms daily, and you need to take it with fat because K2 is fat soluble. Your body can't absorb it properly without dietary fat present. So take it with your breakfast if you're having eggs and avocado, or with dinner if that's your fattiest meal. Now K2 works even better when you combine it with our next vitamin. And this one plays a role in your circulation that goes far beyond what anyone suspected until very recently. Vitamin E. Most people think vitamin E is just for skin health, maybe heart health. But what it's actually doing in your leg vessels is acting like a protective shield for that endothelial lining I mentioned earlier. Free radicals, which are unstable molecules produced by normal metabolism, constantly attack your blood vessel walls, creating oxidative damage that makes vessels stiff and narrow. Vitamin E neutralizes those free radicals before they can cause harm. A Mayo Clinic study of 3,000 seniors found that those with optimal vitamin E levels had 65% better blood flow in their lower extremities compared to deficient individuals. They actually used thermal imaging to measure this, and the difference was visible. Healthy circulation showed up as bright red on the scans. Poor circulation was dark blue, almost black in some cases. The visual evidence was undeniable. But here's where most people go wrong with vitamin E. They buy synthetic versions from the drugstore, and their bodies can barely use them. Natural vitamin E from food sources is 8 times more bioavailable than synthetic. 8 times. That means if you're taking synthetic vitamin E, you're wasting 87% of what you're swallowing. The best food sources are raw almonds, sunflower seeds, and wheat germ oil. But you have to eat them with healthy fats, olive oil, avocado, coconut oil, because vitamin E cannot enter your bloodstream without fat molecules to carry it across your intestinal lining. If you're supplementing, and many people should be because it's hard to get therapeutic doses from food alone, look for mixed tocopherols on the label. Your blood vessels need all 8 forms of vitamin E working together, not just alpha tocopherol, which is what most cheap supplements contain. The dose that showed circulation improvement in clinical trials is 400 international units daily, but split it into 2 doses of 200 with meals. Taking it all at once overwhelms your absorption capacity, and most of it gets eliminated unused. A German study showed that seniors who took vitamin E with their largest meal absorbed 73% more than those who took it on an empty stomach. Even with perfect vitamin E levels though, there's another vitamin your blood vessels need for structural integrity. And without it, those vessels literally start falling apart. Vitamin C. Now I know what you're thinking. Vitamin C is basic. Everyone knows about vitamin C. But what you probably don't know is what happens in your leg vessels when you're deficient. And trust me, after age 70, most people are chronically deficient. Your blood vessels are held together by collagen, the same protein that keeps your skin firm. And your body cannot make collagen without vitamin C. It's biochemically impossible. Stanford researchers just published findings showing that seniors with optimal vitamin C levels had blood vessels that were 40% more elastic compared to those who were deficient. 40% more able to expand and contract, which is absolutely critical because your leg vessels need to flex thousands of times per day to push blood back up to your heart against gravity. Here's the problem with vitamin C. It's water soluble, meaning your body can't store it. You need a steady supply throughout the day. Most people take one big dose in the morning. Their kidneys filter it out within a few hours and they spend the rest of the day deficient. That's why the divided dose protocol works so much better. Instead of 500 milligrams once daily, take 200 milligrams 3 times daily with meals. This maintains steady blood levels and gives your blood vessels constant access to what they need for repair and maintenance. Kiwi fruit contains 3 times more vitamin C than oranges, and the vitamin C in kiwis is bound to fiber that creates a time-release effect in your intestines. You get sustained absorption over several hours, instead of the spike and crash you get from supplements. If you are supplementing, avoid standard ascorbic acid tablets. They're harsh on your stomach and poorly absorbed. Look for buffered vitamin C or sodium ascorbate instead. The critical detail nobody mentions is that you need to take vitamin C with bioflavonoids, compounds like quercetin or rutin, because these protect vitamin C from oxidation and dramatically increase its effectiveness. Red bell peppers are actually the ultimate vitamin C source for leg circulation because they contain both the vitamin and capsaicin, which creates a warming effect that dilates blood vessels immediately. Now we're getting into the heady hitters, the vitamins that can create changes you'll actually feel in your legs within days, not weeks. This next one works so fast, so dramatically, that the first time you take it, you'll know within 30 minutes that something is happening. Vitamin B3, niacin. Niacin does something no other vitamin can do. It forces your blood vessels to expand within minutes of taking it, creating what doctors call a flush. Your skin turns red, feels warm, and that warmth is millions of tiny blood vessels opening up, allowing oxygen-rich blood to rush through capillaries that haven't seen proper flow in years. The Cleveland Clinic gave seniors with poor leg circulation 500 milligrams of Niacin daily and measured blood flow with ultrasound technology. The results were staggering. A 180% increase in circulation to the lower legs within 6 weeks. Many participants reported that chronic leg cramps, the kind that wake you up at night, completely disappeared. Niacin works through multiple mechanisms simultaneously. It reduces the sticky LDL cholesterol that clogs arteries. It increases protective HDL cholesterol that cleans vessels. And it triggers the release of prostaglandins, compounds that dilate blood vessels, like opening a highway from 2 lanes to 6. The flush that people experience, and yes, it can be uncomfortable at first, is actually a sign that it's working perfectly. However, there's a specific way to introduce niacin that maximizes benefits while minimizing discomfort. Start with just 50 milligrams after dinner for 1 week. Your body will adapt. Then increase to 100 milligrams for another week. Gradually work up to 500 milligrams over a month. The immediate release form is actually better for circulation than extended release versions because it creates that beneficial flush that signals vessel dilation. Food sources include turkey, chicken breast, and peanuts. But here's something crucial. If you're taking acid-blocking medications for heartburn or reflux, you're probably not absorbing much niacin from food at all, because the niacin in food is bound to proteins that require stomach acid to break down. The most effective protocol is 250 milligrams of immediate release niacin twice daily with meals, and take it with a baby aspirin, 81 milligrams, which reduces the flush while actually enhancing circulation benefits by preventing platelet aggregation. We're down to the top 2 now, and these are the ones that separate people who maintain vibrant, functional legs into their 80s from those who start declining in the early 70s. This next one is technically a hormone, not a vitamin, and it controls over 1,000 genes in your body, including the ones that determine how well your blood vessels function. Vitamin D3. The Framingham Heart Study revealed something shocking. People over 75 with vitamin D levels below 30 nanogags per milliliter had 80% more arterial stiffness and 62% worse blood flow to their extremities compared to those with levels above 50. And this difference translated directly into walking ability and leg strength. The people with optimal D3 levels were walking a mile, while the deficient group struggled to make it around the block. Your blood vessels have vitamin D receptors throughout their walls. When these receptors are activated by D3, they trigger production of nitric oxide, the master molecule that relaxes and dilates your vessels, allowing blood to flow freely even through the tiniest capillaries in your toes. Without adequate D3, those vessels stay constricted, rigid, unable to deliver the oxygen your leg muscles desperately need. Here's what nobody tells you about D3 supplementation. Taking it once a week in a larger dose is actually more effective than daily small doses because D3 is stored in your fat cells and released slowly, creating a steady supply. The sun is obviously the best source, but after age 75, your skin produces 75% less vitamin D from sun exposure compared to when you were young. And that's assuming you're getting enough sun in the first place, which most seniors aren't. If you're supplementing, and you absolutely should be, you need to take D3 with vitamin K2 because they work synergistically. D3 increases calcium absorption, while K2 directs it away from your arteries. Taking D3 alone without K2 can actually worsen arterial calcification. The optimal protocol is 5,000 international units of D3 taken with breakfast, along with 180 micrograms of K2NK7. And here's the crucial detail. You must take it with fat from whole eggs or avocado, because D3 absorption increases by 50% when taken with a meal containing at least 15 grams of fat. Wild-caught salmon, sardines, and mackerel are the best food sources, containing both D3 and omega-3 fatty acids that enhance D3 circulation benefits. But you need to eat fish daily to maintain optimal levels, which is why supplementation is almost always necessary for seniors. Now we've arrived at number 1, the vitamin that changes everything. And I need you to pay very close attention here, because this is the one that most doctors completely miss. And it's the one that demonstrated the most dramatic improvements in leg blood flow in clinical trials. Vitamin B12. A Japanese study of 1,000 seniors found that correcting B12 deficiency increased leg blood flow by an astounding 400% within 12 weeks. 400%. Some participants went from barely being able to walk to their mailbox to completing 5-kilometer walks. This isn't a gradual improvement. This is life-changing transformation. The reason B12 is so incredibly powerful for circulation is that it controls 3 critical functions. First, it's essential for producing red blood cells that carry oxygen to your legs. Second, it maintains the myelin sheath that protects the nerves controlling your blood vessels. Third, it reduces homocysteine, an amino acid that damages vessel walls and creates inflammation that blocks blood flow. Here's the terrifying part that no one talks about. After age 60, your stomach produces less acid and less intrinsic factor, the two things absolutely required to absorb B12 from food. By age 75, up to 40% of people have B12 levels so low they're experiencing neurological damage without even knowing it. You could be eating pounds of meat every week and still be severely deficient. The symptoms of B12 deficiency perfectly mimic what people think is normal aging in their legs. Numbness, tingling, weakness, poor balance, that burning sensation that keeps you awake at night. But these aren't normal. They're signs that your nerves and blood vessels are literally starving for B12. The standard blood test for B12 is practically useless because it measures both active and inactive forms. You can have a normal reading while still being functionally deficient. You need to test for methyl malonic acid, NNA levels, to get the real picture of your B12 status. Food sources like liver, clams, and beef are rich in B12. But here's the game-changing secret. Sublingual, under the tongue B12 supplements bypass your digestive system entirely and go straight into your bloodstream to the rich network of blood vessels under your tongue. This gives you 10 times better absorption than regular pills that have to survive stomach acid and compete for intrinsic factor. The form of B12 matters enormously. Cyanocobalamin is the cheap synthetic form that your body has to convert multiple times before it can use it. Methylcobalamin is the active form your body can use immediately. For leg circulation, you want 1,000 micrograms of methylcobalamin sublingually every morning. Let it dissolve completely under your tongue. Don't swallow it early. Within 2 weeks of starting proper B12 supplementation, most people notice their legs feel warmer, more responsive. Within a month, that numbness and tingling starts fading. By 3 months, you're walking distances you haven't managed in years. Now, here's my challenge to you. Pick one vitamin from this list and commit to it for 30 days. Not all 6 at once, just one. Get your levels tested if possible. Start supplementation properly and pay attention to what changes in your legs. Then come back to this video and leave a comment telling me what you experienced. I read every single one, and your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to take action. Your legs have carried you through decades of life. They deserve better than being written off as just getting old. These 6 vitamins, especially that number 1, give them exactly what they need to keep carrying you forward. Don't wait until walking becomes impossible. Start today. If you found this information valuable, make sure you're subscribed, because next week I'm covering the 3 foods that are secretly destroying circulation in people over 70. And I guarantee at least one of them is in your kitchen right now. I'm Dr. Alan Mandell, and I'll see you in the next.